Welcome! Today we are diving deep into a really powerful theological argument. It's one that tries to tackle one of the oldest, toughest questions out there, the problem of evil. We're going to walk through a pretty unique take on creation, free will, and what divine judgment might actually be all about. And here it is. This is the question, right? It's the paradox that sits at the heart of so much doubt and debate. And the entire argument we're exploring today is designed, step by step, to answer this very question. But fair warning, the answer isn't simple. It's a whole cosmic story that, according to this view, is still playing out. So where do we even begin? Well, we start right at the beginning, but with a twist. The argument completely reframes the problem. It suggests that what we see as evil isn't a flaw in God's plan, but actually a sign that the whole project of creation isn't finished yet. Now, let that sink in for a second. According to this viewpoint, God hasn't made any mistakes. The pain, the suffering, the sin we see around us, it's not a bug in the system, it's just evidence of a work in progress. It's kind of like a potter working with a lump of clay. You wouldn't look at the wet, spinning clay and say the potter failed because it's not a vase yet. No, you'd understand it's just a temporary phase. Okay, so if creation is incomplete, how does it get finished? Well, to get from point A to point B, God introduced a very powerful but also very dangerous variable into the equation, free will. And this is where the real drama of the story kicks off. See, the end goal was never just about creating obedient robots. It was about a relationship. God could have easily made creatures that were forced to comply. But you can't force someone to love you. Real love, and the willing obedience that flows from it, absolutely requires a genuine choice. So you've got these two paths, right? On one side, you have a kingdom built on power and fear. That gets you forced compliance, sure, but it makes real love impossible. On the other side, you have a kingdom built on relationship and love. And for that to work, you absolutely need free will, with all the risks that come with it. The argument is that God chose that second path. It was the only way to get the real connection he was after. And there's the catch. This is the paradox you can't get around. For the choice to love God to actually mean anything, the option to not love him, to reject him, had to be on the table. It's that very capacity for rejection that makes the choice to love real and authentic. And that, right there, is identified as the origin of all sin. So how in the world does God solve this problem? How do you give creatures free will but also draw them towards choosing what's good? Well, according to the source, this is where the cross comes in. It's presented as the turning point, the divine mechanism perfectly designed to resolve this exact paradox. In this theological framework, the cross is way more than just a way to get forgiveness. It's an active ingredient in the whole creation process. It's meant to be a demonstration of love so powerful, so overwhelming, that it persuades free creatures to voluntarily line up their will with God's. It's designed to perfect the very faculty of choice itself. So how does this actually work in practice? Well, it unfolds in a few logical steps. First, this incredible love is revealed for everyone to see. Next, for those who see it and understand it, that love inspires a response. They start to love God back. Then this newfound love for God naturally makes them want to follow his ways. Not because they have to, but because they want to. And that final step, that willing obedience, that's the sign of a free will that has been completed and perfected. And all of this brings us to the topic of judgment. But here, we're asked to see it in a totally different light. Not as some separate, scary event, but as the final, necessary step in the creative process we've been talking about this whole time. This is a huge reframing. The idea is, for creation to be truly finished, for it to be perfected, then sin, which is the result of those imperfect, rebellious wills, has to be removed permanently. So in this view, judgment isn't just about punishment. It's the final, purifying act that completes the masterpiece. So you can really see the whole story arc in these three steps. Step 1, creation. God brings creatures into existence out of nothing. Step 2, perfection. He offers them a path to a perfected will through this incredible demonstration of love. And step 3, purification, the final stage, where anything that resists that perfection is removed and the work is finally done. Okay, so this is where it all leads. Based on the free choices that creatures have made, the story finally resolves into two very different and very final outcomes.
It's laid out as a very clear choice with a very clear consequence. One path, the one chosen in response to love, leads to eternal life inside this newly perfected creation. The other path, the one of rejecting that love, leads to an ultimate end, a return to the same non-existence that everything came from in the first place.
Now, this viewpoint offers a very specific definition of the lake of fire. And it's probably not what you're used to hearing. It is not a place of endless conscious torment. Instead, it's described as a place of temporary and just punishment, where the debts for specific sins are settled before a final end. This idea, by the way, has a name in theology. It's called annihilationism.
And this punishment isn't one size fits all. It's proportional. The penalty is designed to fit the crime. So someone who sinned without really knowing what they were doing gets a lighter sentence, fewer stripes, than someone who knew exactly what they were doing and did it anyway. It's presented as a system of precise, measured justice, not just random anger.
And this is the final resolution. Once that just penalty has been paid in full, those who ultimately rejected God are unmade. They're returned to non-existence. The goal is the permanent removal of sin and rebellion from creation, and this is achieved not by eternal suffering, but by annihilation. Creation is, at last, purified.
But after laying all of this out, the argument ends with a really crucial note of humility. It's a reminder that we are finite beings. We live in time and space, and any attempt we make to fully understand a timeless, infinite God is always going to be incomplete. We can only work with what's been revealed to us. So if this entire cosmic narrative, from the first moment of creation all the way to the final judgment, is really a story about God trying to achieve a universe filled with beings who love freely, well, the final question lands right back in our laps. What does that mean for us, right here, right now? How does that change the way we live, the way we choose, and maybe most importantly, the way we love?